right. Hey everybody, welcome to the live filming of this month's Sebō. We're going to go ahead and get started here. And just start by finding a comfortable seated position. And I'm going to go through a couple tools that I use. Something you can use at home is a block or a pillow to elevate your seat while you're in your seated position. I like to use a block just because it feels a little bit more secure. So again, when I practice Sebō at home, I usually have something going in the background, like some music or the Bible or a nice book. And this is very unusual for me to just have silence and to just listen to the sound of my voice, because the practice of Sebō is supposed to be incredibly personal and a time to get away and be alone with yourself and with God, and to tune in to what it is that you are needing from yourself and from the Lord that day and in that moment. So I want to just have a moment of silence to begin. As you begin breathing, to fill your body with breath and with just fresh oxygen is so important before you start any exercise practice. So go ahead and close your eyes, and we're going to start with our breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. In through your nose and out. Just focus on your breath. It's so important to give yourself a moment of solitude and quiet in life. And it is the best way to start this exercise practice. Think about what you want your intention to be. What is it that you want out of yourself and out of life? Do you want to have more peace? Do you want to have more joy? All of these things, these are fruits of the Spirit. And they don't come by striving or forcing. They are called fruit because that is what they are. They come from a place of rest and groundedness, and when our roots go deep. And so we have to allow time and space for that to happen in order to be fulfilled in those ways. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into some gentle movement. So I like to start on the hands and knees, usually, because it's the best way to get the core warmed up. So your shoulders and your tailbone will come up, and then you're going to round. Head comes down, tailbone goes down, and the mid-spine and the core go up. Inhale. Tailbone up, chin up, shoulder blades back and down. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One of the keys to this practice is just moving with your breath. Nice and slow and easy. So much of life is spent at a rushed pace and we don't even realize it sometimes. So getting to move in a slow, very intentional way, it actually triggers your nervous system to de-stress, to turn off the fight or flight response that is on far too often. So these slow, intentional, smooth movements are really the best way to warm up your body before working out and doing any kind of strength training. And while you're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer for the practice here. God, we just give this to you. We want to honor you with our minds, with our bodies. We pray that you would please meet us here and help shape these vessels of clay that you gave us into tools that really honor and glorify you in everything. Next, we're going to build some more heat in the body by coming into the plank position. So if you can start one leg at a time and really ground it in. And keep a flat back. And keep your core tucked in. If this is too difficult for you, feel free to go to your knees to support your upper body. Or you can even do one knee at a time. But really challenge yourself. You'll know when it's a good challenge versus a bad challenge because you should never feel any pain with this practice. You should always feel that burn. That's a good sensation of discomfort that you can put it. Move into downward dog. And this is this upside down V position or triangle position. Worry so much about straightening your legs. The most important part of this pose is having a nice and straight back. So your hands, your wrists, your shoulders, and your tailbone should be nice and in alignment with one another, like a straight line. And in order to do that, you sometimes do need to, especially when you're just warming up, keep your knees bent. Now go ahead and roll back up into plank. And with bent knees, because we are just still warming up, and then push up from the mat to upward dog. Just go till it feels really good, and then stop when it stops to feeling good. From here, you can go from your knees back into downward dog, or if it feels good for you, curl up into your toes, stretch out the fronts of your feet, and go back into this downward dog. And breathe. Lift the right leg and bring it between your hands. Back knee comes down. Come up. Every point is grounding into the earth. I typically start with this same warm-up for every practice because it just feels like the best way to get into the joints that really need to get warmed up. Okay, come back into this push-up, upward dog, Exhale, downward dog. Lift the left leg to the sky. Keep the pelvis flat. And then come back into bringing the left leg between the hands. Right knee comes down. Lift yourself up. Every point grounded into the earth. Hands come back down along each side of that foot. Back knee comes up. Bring the back leg into plank again, or the front leg. Hold it here. We're going to build some heat for just a little bit. Don't forget to breathe. It's so easy when we're struggling to hold our breath through things in everyday life as well. But it's so important to breathe through them. Okay, slowly come on down. You can bend your knees if you need to. And upward dog once more. Spread the knees out, bring your toes together and come into child's pose. With your forehead resting on the earth and your arms stretched forward. Breathe and just relax into this pose. Okay, come forward. We're going to step between the hands. Both feet come up halfway with your inhale and then fold with your exhale. And then we're going to go ahead and come up with a reverse swan dive. Arms come out, reach up, hands touch above you. Exhale, knees are slightly bent, just ever so slightly. And breathe with your hands in prayer. Next inhale, hands come up, swan dive down. Halfway up. Inhale, exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Jump back or step back if you need to. Down and upward dog. Come in with the rolling toes if you can. Or you can always move from your knees back into the downward dog position. Right knee comes up and we're going to go into the full warrior poses. Right knee comes between the hands. Your back heel is going to come down with your foot at an angle. You can bring it in a little bit if that feels good. And then come up with your pelvis facing forward. So you're not going to turn it and open it. First set is your pelvis is going to be all the way forward, align with your hands, which are facing each other. And shooting straight up with your shoulders back and down. Your weight should be evenly carried in your front and back leg. Next, you're going to open up that pelvis, facing the side, and then open up your arms, shooting to the front and the back of the room. Take up all the space you can. And breathe. Good. Come on over in a dancer position. Your left arm over your ear, and then lean on back. Look up at the sky. Your right arm to the sky. Good. Do that a few times. Just move with your breath. We're just warming up the body. Getting it ready to receive some change. All right, and as promised today, I'm going to incorporate some of these tools. I've had some friends ask, how do you modify positions if they're not flexible or if they're recovering from something? And getting a couple of these blocks is an excellent way to modify. It provides a way to support your body while you're in some more difficult stretches and poses. So it makes them a little bit more attainable and helps you to be able to relax into them, because that is really important if you're going to do this practice, to be able to feel relaxed while you're doing it. You should never feel like you're too stressed out that you're able to not enjoy this. So moving into using these blocks, such as like this, and if you have a hard time getting down like this, you can use a block or two to get into this pose a little bit easier. There's also triangle pose, which we were going to move into here after the warrior sequence. So these are excellent tools. So we'll be going into that next. So after that one side, we're going to go ahead and do the other side real quick. Shavasana down. Slow, push up, down, and then push yourself up to upward dog. Roll over your toes. Downward dog. Okay, and then the other leg is going to come up. Bring it through between your hands. Lower the back heel down. And again, your pelvis is going to stay facing forward for this first warrior. Shoulders back and down. Remember, your weight is evenly distributed between the two legs. And you're just opening up this pelvis here. It should feel really good in the front of that leg. And you're also getting all this nice heat built by engaging this leg. All right, next, open. Pelvis turns, opens up to the side of the room. Arms reach out to the front and the back of the room. Take up all the space you can. Remember not to hunch up. It's really easy to do that when you're feeling a little stressed. Remind your body that it is safe, it is okay in this precarious position by breathing slowly and controlled and keeping the ears and the shoulders away from each other. Okay, moving into the dancer pose. Elbow comes to the front knee. Right arm reaches overhead. Look up at the sky. Right arm slides down the back leg, left arm comes up. Look up at that arm. Keep repeating that for a few times. Windmill the arms down, and again you can use blocks or just go on either side of your foot. I love to use the blocks for this. Just feels like I can sink into it a little bit more. And then whatever you can do here, it's good to lower the back knee, just kind of sink into this stretch. You can change the position of your blocks so you're just a little bit lower. And then as it feels good, do what your body's telling you to do. So much of this practice is really tuning into what your body needs. So listen to that. Don't try to do what I'm doing necessarily. Move the blocks aside, and if you can, just put your hands on the inside of that bent leg in front of you. And breathe. Feel yourself sinking more and more into this as you breathe and as your body is warmed up now. Bend one arm, see how that feels. Move the hands a little bit forward. I'm going to use these to see how it feels to rest my elbows on them. That feels awesome. So just play around with this pose as you breathe into it. You should feel like you can sink deeper and deeper and deeper into this. So when I first started, I really needed the blocks all the way up. I've been very tight lately. But now that I've been here for a little bit, I'm getting the urge to go lower. So it's kind of cool. Here I am, all the way down to the ground. How allowing yourself time and space and just to relax into something can change how you feel about it. It's pretty cool. Okay, to come out of this, you're going to lift the back knee up, push down into your hands so you can feel your left leg getting light, and then just go ahead and move it back. Come down into this slow push-up, in yoga called Shavasana. And then raise that back, get that heat in the back. It's kind of nice when we've been pushing so much to really do the opposite movement and lift yourself up like you're flying. Open up those arms. Reach the arms out in front of you. Lift up the legs. This is wonderful for your entire back. And then we're going to just do some gentle swimming motions. So the opposite leg and the opposite arm. Just do little kicks. Not too fast. If you feel yourself doing this, you're not really getting the motion out of it. You really got to engage all the fine muscles by moving kind of slowly and controlled. Open up into a big X, stretch out every direction. One big lift. And back together, hands come down by your ribs. Push up into upward dog. Roll the toes under. Downward dog. Woo! This is so great. Very good. Just gonna do some playful little donkey kicks here. Kick up with one leg. You don't have to worry about how high you get. Just is a nice way to release some of that tension in your hips. Just kick one leg, let the other leg come up with it, however much it feels good. It's really excellent for your arms. Good. Spread the knees. Come down into child's pose. And breathe. Bring your hands together, elbows into the earth. We're going to do just this modified downward dog from your elbows. Good for your shoulders. Okay, come back into a regular downward dog. And you guessed it, we're going to kick with the other side. Don't forget to move with your breath. So I like to exhale when I kick, but if it feels better to inhale when you kick, do it. Do whatever feels good for you. These can be as little as they need to be. If it looks like this for you, awesome. Whatever feels like it's right for you, that's what I want you guys to do. Back into child's pose. So resting is just as important as the exercise part where we're getting our heart rate up. And it's so important to remember that in life as well. Go ahead and straddle the mat long way. It helps to kind of lean back at first in this position, so you can keep your posture and your heart open. So anytime you find yourself doing this, something needs to change. We shouldn't worry about how far we can reach. It's not about that at all. For stretches, it's about how can I do this and keep my body as strong and healthy as possible in this pose while getting the most benefit out of it. So here's another example of where a block comes in handy. Or if you don't have a block, you can sit on a pillow, just a normal throw pillow. But it might help to elevate your pelvis in this position to help you really get the most out of this pose, and you can lean into it a little bit more easily here while keeping that open heart posture. This should feel really, really good. It should not hurt at all. So whatever you can do comfortably here, go for that. I'm gonna get another block. This can help with giving your elbows something to rest on while you're in this position, like this. You can move it to whatever level feels best for you. It's excellent to be able to just be open, flexible. It's so important to maintain your ability to move in a youthful way, to really carry and keep the vibrancy of what our bodies were intended to do throughout life. And it is possible throughout your entire lifespan to maintain it. You just can't expect it to stay forever. You have to really allow your body to move in all the ways it was meant to in order for it to maintain that. Okay, so we're going to come back up. You can keep your blocks handy, because here's another excellent way to practice is with them right here in front of you. And when you're doing this flow, where you're coming down to a forward fold, look, your ground is suddenly so much easier to touch, and it feels so good to be able to touch if you're less flexible, instead of worrying about reaching the ground. Getting these blocks to this position is super helpful, even if you are super flexible. Inhale halfway up. So inhale halfway up just means really engaging the strength of your spine. So I just suddenly can warm up all of my back muscles by coming up to this flat back in this posture. And then when you forward fold, your spine can release a little bit more than before because it was warmed up. And then come back up to that reverse swan dive. Hands touch, hands in prayer. Breathe here. Good. Whew. Now we're going to do some balance postures. So one foot, we'll start with the right foot, comes to the ground. The other foot, you're going to kind of kickstand your heel onto your leg, which is grounded into the earth. And then whatever feels good for you, whether that's coming to the calf here, or if you can bring it up just above the knee, just don't put it on the knee. You're not supposed to put any pressure on your knee when you're in this position. Or you can bring it up to the inner thigh. And the arms are always an accessory to the pose, so don't worry so much about what you're doing with your arms. But if it feels good, and you can lift your arms up to the sky and really open up the entire body, awesome. This pose is designed to really open up this inner thigh as well as exercise the balancing muscles of that right leg, the grounded leg. And you'll notice the longer we hold this pose, you're going to start feeling that burn in that right leg. I'm already feeling it right now. Good. Okay, lower that left leg. We're going to go ahead and switch. Kickstand the right leg. Get grounded in that left leg. It can really help your balance to find a point in the room to just stare at. And then also make sure that you remember that your balance comes from your core. So engage your core, focus on something, and that will really help you to be able to keep your balance. And don't worry if you fall out of it. Don't judge yourself. Don't worry if you wobble. It's all part of the practice. I love the mentality of life being a practice as well. It isn't something that anybody is perfect at, but it's something to have so much grace for, as we are all so flawed in dealing with so many of, our limitations that we have as humans. I'm right now currently reading a book that I highly recommend. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And it's been an excellent reminder about celebrating our limitations and embracing them in a way. Like knowing that we can't do it all or be it all is so freeing and it's liberating. And to be able to give ourselves permission to wobble and to fall and not expect perfection of ourselves. It's very freeing. Don't forget to breathe. You're going to start really feeling the heat, and I always get more wobbly as it gets further down as my muscles fatigue, and that's normal. All right, and slowly release. Well done. We're going to start cooling down. And then we'll do the final resting pose and guided meditation to end our night and go to sleep. So hands up to touch. Swan dive down. Exhale. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, fold. Palms to the earth. Bend the legs, step back very slowly. Slowly come down. Back lifted. Hands lifted. And just gently push up. One final stretch. Really enjoy this one. Back into child's pose. Okay, bring your feet to the front here. We're going to do the classic figure 4 stretch over that leg. This is another place where these blocks come in handy. Something to rest your forehead on. Okay, and then go ahead and switch legs. You keep the block right where it is. So your forehead kind of stays in the same place. And if you don't have a block, that's totally okay too. You just kind of relax and look wherever it's comfortable. Always important before you wind down to do an inverted pose. So I love to put the block under my pelvis and just relax here. You really would want to take out any ponies you have at this point so your head can be nice and flat. Really do those big belly breaths in this position. If you don't have a block, just do a bridge pose, or you can get your pelvis up on a couple of books or up on even a couch or a short chair. Or you can use your hands and just hold your pelvis like this. But it really helps to just be able to completely relax into something, supporting your entire pelvis and all of your weight. Close your eyes and just sink into this. Kick your feet up and just let the blood in your legs move on down back into your heart. Wiggle your feet around nice and slow. And again, you can elevate your pelvis with anything. You can use pillows, you can use blankets folded up. Anything that gets your pelvis a little bit above the level of your heart will work just fine. Go ahead and kick it out a little bit, nice and slow. Bicycle legs. Nice and slow. This is really engaging your core. It's also helping your body cool down. And breathe. Don't forget to breathe. All right. Grab your heels if you can. Get a little bit of a quad stretch in here. Good. You're going to lift up slightly. If you have a block, remove it, put it to the side, and slowly roll down. Arms come out to the side. Vertebrae by vertebrae, just lower it down. And breathe here. Okay, next you're going to just lower your right knee down to the earth. Your left knee is going to come up and over, and you're going to do a spinal twist here. You don't have to lock that knee down. If you want to just hold it down with your right arm, that works too. And go ahead and turn your gaze to the opposite arm. Come out of any twist gently to take a deep breath, and then go back into it when you exhale. Okay, other side. Nice and easy twist. Inhale, and then exhale, really move into that twist. Gaze over to the opposite arm. Okay. And now final resting pose. Legs come out and relax, slightly separated. Arms come gently, neutrally down to your sides. Just find a comfortable spot. Try not to wiggle too much while we're in this place of resting. Just find a good spot and be prepared to be still. This is the most important part of this practice. This really gives your body the opportunity to remember what it's learned through this process, to let it all sink in. If we skip this part, it's really easy for our bodies to go back into what it's used to. The stress is held onto, goes right back to the way it was. So it can help to find something to cover your eyes with if you're in a bright room, like a pillow or a blanket or an eye mask, of course, but just to make it dark during this part is very helpful. Relax your jaw. Relax your face, your eyes. Relax your shoulders, your back. Everything just lets go. Your arms, your fingers, your belly, your pelvis, your legs, your calves, your feet, and your toes. I encourage you to stay in this position for as long as you'd like. You can put on something to listen to. Just stay here and meditate on whatever it is you need. Thank you for joining me. And whenever you're ready to come out of it, you can roll onto your side. Push yourself up gently. Find a comfortable seated position. And breathe. Thanks again for joining me. I'll try to put out another video next month. God bless.